Pahlavi text translated by E.W.S. Part 4. Contents of the Nasks. Clarendon, Oxford University Press, 1892. Dinkard, Book 9, Chapter 53. 1. The seventh Vargard, Ta Ve Vata, is that by him who possesses advantage through virtue. The world of righteousness is freed from destruction, even for this reason, because the possession of advantage through virtue arises through the non-participation of the demons and the vile therein, and the participation of the sacred beings and the good, and when one shall act so, the advantage of spiritual origin becomes more powerful through guarding the advantage from the destroyers. 2. This too, that by him who welcomes Ahurmazd in his person, apostates are likewise forced to make the religion of Ahurmazd progressive, even for this reason, because owing to the apostasy of apostates being a religion produced by Ahriman, they are only able to make the religion progressive through the appellation of Ahurmazd, apostasy and priesthood, and the apostates and priests are fraternal opponents, and whenever the priesthood and multitudes of the priesthood are triumphant, multitudes of the apostates of apostasy perish. Aushend. And when the multitudes of the apostates of apostasy are bold, the priests of the priesthood are weak, and the priests are superior in power and success when the priesthood is properly limited, and their properly limited priesthood too, which can arise through mankind, consists in the welcome precedence of Ahurmazd. 3. About the completeness, sporiki, of the priesthood, and that quality now, when the priests of the multitude are the habitation, Mahono, of Ahurmazd, and the power of the priests of the priesthood has increased, the valor of the apostates of apostasy is smitten, and the apostates are defeated by the abundant splendor of the priests. Also their power as regards making the religion of Ahriman progressive through the appellation of Ahurmazd is fettered, and they keep apostasy concealed. 4. And then also they, with the appellation of priests, truly speak and teach the religion of Ahurmazd, and make it progressive, just as it is solemnized, and made easy by them, and even though the will of the sacred beings be unheard and undesired through apostasy. 5. This too, that he proclaims the miraculousness of Ahurmazd, who shall appoint for ordeal that which is certainly a doubt, even for this reason, because through accomplishing an ordeal, that which is doubtful is forcibly rendered visible, venavdahaki aito, to the eyes, as certain clearness through the power of the Spirit, which is itself a miracle of Ahurmazd. 6. This too, that by him who shall make a public decision thereon, and convicted, gratification is afforded by him whose maintenance of the dispute is righteousness, even for this reason, because the needful is delivered by him to its own requirer, who thereby becomes even renowned. 7. This too, that even the right of ordeal is produced by him who is an advantage to the righteous, for this reason, because the right of ordeal is for the advancement of the ordeal, and the religious ordeal proceeds through sovereignty. These righteous are those of the good religion, and their advantage is that belonging to the multitude, which is the sovereignty now, and every one who is given for that advantage to the righteous of those of the good religion becomes the performer of any right of ordeal really produced, because the origin of that giving of advantage is even the right of ordeal. 8. This too, that by him who gives a priest and righteous man for propagating the religion, the right of ordeal is also proclaimed, even for this reason, because the teacher and one rightly merciful, who Amurzidar give the sacred text, by which even the right of ordeal is declared. 9. This too, that he who recites the revelation of Ahurmazd, and who shall do it with exceeding goodness, becomes an increaser of wisdom, even for this reason, because the wisdom of a man increases in these two ways. Either he speaks and teaches himself, or he exemplifies the excellence of a portion to the wise, who become speakers and teachers of wisdom. 10. This too, that his homage is for Ahurmazd, who thoroughly teaches a righteous employer of animals and human beings, Kira Vavir, that he considers him as their controller, Dastobar, because since the productiveness of the completion of the creatures is produced through the nourishment of the creatures by Ahura through his fulfilling his own productiveness. That righteous employer in the world is intended for the nourishment of his creatures. Owing to that outward subjection and propitiation of theirs, and the righteous employer is connected with their subjection and propitiation for the Creator. 11. This too, that by him who gives thought to the religion of Zarathustra, the soul is given to Zarathustra, even for this reason, because with the man's having given thought to the religion of Zarathustra is connected the receiving of his soul by Zarathustra for preservation from hell. 12. This too, that by him who teaches the nature of the sacred beings to mankind, consultation with Ahura is also further taught, even for this reason, because the nature of the sacred beings is consulting a spiritual lord and becomes also the consulting of Ahura. 13. This too, that by him who keeps the produce of sheep as the property of Ahura, a sheep is given to him who is diligent and moderate, even for this reason, because produce kept as the property of Ahura is for being given for good works. Being given for good works is being truly kept as a beginning for the possession of produce, and a beginning truly kept is kept even through a sheep as a beginning of excellence in the control dasto bari of him who is a diligent and moderate shepherd. 14. This too, that by him who is a liberal to the liberal, the increase owing to developers is brought into the world, even for this reason, because a liberal man, on account of even that gift given back to the worthy, becomes even for us, through the development of the world, him who is first praised therein with the sacred beings. 15. This too, that whoever shall form a store for sheep becomes an agent even in the development of sheep by the Creator, because on account of the increase of sheep through the existence of nourishment for them having arisen, whoever has arranged nourishment for sheep becomes an agent even in the development of sheep by the Creator. 16. And this too, that by him who teaches inward prayer, vakako, to the good, it is also taught to the eaters, even for this reason, because everything connected with eating being declared by the religion, when the religion is taught by anyone to the good, in which even that information is proclaimed, even eaters are taught about it. 17. This too, that whoever maintains a sheep or human being as our property is taught to maintain it through the high priest of Zarathustra, even for this reason, because it is so maintained as the property of the sacred beings, when he maintains it as the property of Zarathustra. 18. This too, that by him who gave predominance to those of the nature of Gayomard, the sovereignty also of those of the religion of Zarathustra is desired, even for this reason, because the religion of Zarathustra is the nature of Gayomard, and the nature of Gayomard is the religion of Zarathustra. 19. This too, that when one is alone among rulers, a way of speaking to the rulers such words as are really true is thereby provided, even for this reason, because the utterance of blessings by a solitary person is for advantage. 20. This too, that by him who keeps the sovereignty which is his within the will of Ahura, the best thing is done unto Ahura, even for this reason, because a sovereignty is so kept within the will of Ahura, when he who is the ruler gives to Ahura the individuality in which is the sovereignty, and when its proximity and closeness has given to Ahura that thing which is best and supreme. 21. This too, that when one teaches the saying, Vakako of the benefiters, the information which is owing to the religion is illustrated by him to his own, even for this reason, because the knowledge of religion, which is in its causing liberality by him, is increased even by the repeated inquiry of disciples. 22. This too, that by him who teaches an applicant the virtuous way and doctrine upon the liturgy is then taught, even for this reason, because knowledge arises through the virtuous course of the liturgy. 23. This too, that by him who thinks of the affairs of virtue, The liturgy is maintained and taught with virtuousness, even for this reason, because the maintenance of the liturgy with virtuousness arises through virtuous thinking. 24. This too, that whoever shall provide the nourishment of creatures with propriety, his vohuman, the thought is auharmas progeny. And whoever properly maintains those which are in his keeping, his position becomes auharmas, fatherhood of vohuman. Even for this reason, because every proper nourishing is that in which the nourished becomes an offspring such as vohuman unto auharmas, and every proper protection of the creatures over those which are protected by it is a fatherhood such as that of auharmas over vohuman. 25. This too, that by him who shall provide nourishment with propriety for the creation which is good, it is taught that the good creation was produced by auharmas, even for this reason, because from the nourishment of the creation with propriety, together with the discriminating action of the nourisher, the goodness of the nourished is also evident. From the goodness of the nourished creation, the goodness of him who is its creator is evident, and the creator of the good creation is auharmas himself. 26. This too, that whoever shall spiritually make auharmas the ruler over his own person becomes a ruler as to actions. Even for this reason, because whoever is making auharmas ruler over his person is a leader of wisdom. A leader of wisdom is a decider, taking account of sin and good works. Taking account of sin and good works is abstaining from sin and practicing good works. And owing to abstinence from sin and practicing good works, one becomes a ruler over actions. 27. This too, that spendermod is given to auharmas by him who is as reverent unto auharmas as a daughter unto a father, even for this reason, because the spendermatic nature, spendarmadi, is provided by him for auharmas. 28. This too, that for him who thinks of the care of cattle, there arises that wisdom which the control, pati, of cattle gives. Even for this reason, because the nature of the wisdom for production of cattle is provided in mankind, and when mankind apply their thoughts to seeking that wisdom, they obtain it. 29. This too, that by him who is admitting the male to cattle at the proper time, the care of cattle is also thought of, even for this reason, because the admittance of the male becomes productiveness, and whoever would cause productiveness thinks also of nourishment. 30. This too, that by him who has prepared himself for the priests, the way to yonder world is taught, even for this reason, because the way to yonder world is declared by the religion, and its indicator is the priest. Therefore, by him who is prepared for the priests through discipleship, that way is known and is made known. 31. This too, that in him who shall do that, which is something that is an assistance to the renovation of the universe, thoughts of the bounty, dahi, of the Creator arise. Even for this reason, because creativeness is through thinking of the renovation. Thinking of the renovation arises through the renovation. The renovation arises through anything which is done that is an assistance of the renovation. The doing of anything that is an assistance of the renovation is through thinking of sagacity, and thinking of sagacity becomes thoughts of the bounty of the Creator. 32. This too, that by him who loves the affairs of the archangels, a heart and mind for not being misled from the way of the sacred beings are recommended to mankind, even for this reason, because from the religion of the sacred beings being loved arises increasing power of the sacred beings. From the increasing power of the sacred beings arises their greater authority among mankind, and from the greater authority of the sacred beings among mankind arises the resistance of heart and mind of mankind, even in their not being misled by the very demons. 33. This too, that whoever shall act with reverence to Bahuman sees the sin which is concealed in him, mingled with good works thereby, even for this reason, because reverence for Bahuman becomes submission, Havri, and virtuousness. With virtuous submission are connected freedom from kikship and from koraptship, and with freedom from kikship and from koraptship is connected one sound of life and eye, whereby he is an observant decider, and atonement for sin arises from good works. 34. This too, that by him who shall provide liberality for the liberal, the giving of a loans to mankind is also taught, even for this reason, because liberal giving by anyone is accounting for his own debt, and he endeavors to repay it fully observant and with complete gratification. Besides that, the power of liberality becomes extendable among mankind, and through loans and other gifts of generosity, the hestniki, they become ardent. 35. This too, that by him who pays homage for na mado to the affairs of Harmazd, as much as he is able, the non-injury of the innocent is also taught, even for this reason, because, to intertwine further, Frovaftano with the affairs of Harmazd, as much as possible, is first to commit no sin and to perform as many good works as possible, and abstaining from the essentials of sin is non-injury of the innocent. 36. This too, that by him who possesses a ruler and high priest, Harmazd, is spiritually made ruler over his person. Even for this reason, because through the requirement of Harmazd, the angels are lord and master of the worldly existence of that man. 37. This too, that whoever decides duty and opinion becomes also an informer of others, even for this reason, because it informs others that he is possessing wisdom, and this is what is said, that the wisdom of man is evident from his deciding as to affairs. 38. This too, that whoever shall provide nurture with propriety becomes also an indicator, daksha kinidar, for others, even for this reason, because the happiness of the nurturer becomes also a happy indicator, even for thee, and this too is what one says, that always good, happy, and free from serfs is he who is not a master of vagabonds, pado e puan. 39. This too, that by him who is a ruler, who, by a command given, appoints him who is liturgical, mansarik, and gives anything to him which is desirable to give. The necessary demeanor for true and virtuous statements is taught, even for this reason, because the uttering of true and virtuous statements and fearlessness of rulers is owing to a well-established sovereignty, and their well-established sovereignty is more particularly through these two things, good commanding and helpfulness. When they establish that liturgical one by a command given, it is good commanding, and when they give anything to him which it is desirable to give, the helpfulness is provided. Also owing to their good commanding, the helpfulness is a good establishment of the sovereignty. Owing to a well-established sovereignty, there is fearlessness also in uttering true and virtuous statements, and owing to freedom from the concealment in uttering true and virtuous statements, the necessary demeanor for true and virtuous statements arises. 40. This too, that he who gives personal service unto the King of Kings, and who considers the product, bar, as the property of Harmazd, is empowered for indicating the acquitted and convicted by the spirits, his indicators of the acquitted and convicted, even for this reason, because the person being given in service to the King of Kings is the preparation nivarisno of subjection, and the product being considered as the property of Harmazd is to consider the innocence of its origin, boon, and to make the product while selecting who kinako through virtuousness. Owing to the progress of these two, the virtuousness in the world becomes great and increasing productiveness for all the goods, spiritual and worldly existences which are in it, even those who are angels, indicating the acquitted and convicted. 41. This too, that by him who becomes immortal progress, for him who is immortally progressive, Complete progress is given to him who is completely progressive, and its routine, Dadastan 2, is even this, that by him who wishes to make that which is his own soul immortal, and would afford it assistance, every benefit is given to him who is a supplicant for every benefit, and becomes a giver of every benefit which he begs, and becomes an assistant to him whom he asks in attaining thereto. 42. This too, that whoever gratifies that which is enjoyment renders his soul immortal, even for this reason, because the soul subsists through good works, and good works are all those which gratify enjoyment. 43. This too, that whoever keeps himself always in good works has produced perfection and happiness by any goodness and worthiness of his, even for this reason, because keeping oneself always in good works becomes perfect diligence in industry. Within perfect diligence in industry is also comprised opposition to any harm whatever, and it is opposition to harm and perfect goodness that are worthy of every happiness. 44. This too, that by him who possesses wealth, as high priest of the priests, predominance as their high priest is maintained and taught, even for this reason, because the provision of sovereignty and its progress are really through wealth. 45. This too, that by him who would act for the pleasure of others, owing to virtue, the growth and increase owing to Bahuman are produced, even for this reason, because that which has given virtuous pleasure is the nourishment of the creatures by the producer of increase and growth. 46. This too, that by him who welcomes Auharmazd in himself and teaches good works to mankind, every virtuous instruction is taught, even for this reason, because the welcoming of Auharmazd in oneself is the non-committal of sin, and the teaching of good works to mankind is more particularly the performance of good works oneself. Innocence and the practicing of good works are for the end of every instruction, and he in whom they exist becomes a teacher of every goodness. 47. This too, that by him who shall occasion benefit through him who is a propagator of good works, the evidence of him who is well informed is taught through one well informed. Even for this reason, because the chief evidence as to sagacity is to occasion benefit for the good. 48. This too, that by him who gives commands as to the affairs of Auharmazd is made welcome in his person, even for this reason, because the throne of Auharmazd in the worldly existence is more particularly in a ruler of well-commanding person. 49. The excellence of righteousness is perfect. And we see that our worldly existence is alone, and our purpose, it makes things better for everyone, even the light beings, which are so perfect. And in the initial few verses, we have that bit about apostasy and all that, getting its power from true religion. And that just the lack of evil gives place for the strength of good, and the other way around.